Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of Paul's Garden Gab. We are back in my garden today. We're not on location like we were last week, but it's a nice sunny day, so we're delighted to be back in Neilston. And today I'm being joined by another guest, Kyla Fergus. So hello, Kyla.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me. Kyla's come on today because this week there's been a lot of focus around school, and I guess going back to school, exams, the challenge with exams this year and stuff like that. So Kyla is currently in her 6th year at St Luke's, just started, was in 5th year last year when all of the pandemic hit and lockdown started. So we're just going to have a bit of a chat today about what's that all been like, what has the whole kind of furore around exams been like for you as a young person, and kind of what are your plans going forward out of this. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Do you want to just tell us a wee bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Kyla. I'm 17 years old. As Paul said, I've just started 6th year. And it looks like it's going to be a really kind of good year for me. I've got subjects that I'm wanting to do. It doesn't seem like I'm going to have too much work. And I've got all of Friday off.
Fantastic. All a Friday off. I mean, I really enjoyed 6th year for that, because you get that wee bit of independence, don't you? Where you can kind of manage your own time and kind of start to think about what the future will be like if you go into study and stuff like that. So that's cool. And I suppose you've only had, 3 days back now? 2 days back?
Two, if I'm not in today.
So how's that been so far?
It's been really good. I can already notice a difference in a way that the teachers are treating us. It's like we're more of grown-ups now, you know. So it's been really, really good. And we've not done a lot of work yet. We've just kind of been discussing courses and figuring out the one-way system of the school and everything like that. So it's been pretty good.
Because I guess what you'll have seen this week going back will be quite different from where you left.
Definitely.
So let's talk a wee bit about that, I suppose. So you were in the kind of throes of your 5th year. It's a big year because, a lot rides on that year for exams and qualifications. And then coronavirus hits.
I know.
And kind of nobody, I guess, expected it. But how did you feel when you heard the news we're shutting schools?
Well, I feel like with most people, I was kind of excited at first that the schools were shutting. Like, I won't need to go to school. I'll get to stay in my comfies and do my work and things like that.
Yeah.
But then as time went on, I was like, I'm not in school right now. How am I supposed to, talk to my teachers about what I'm supposed to be doing? How am I supposed to, do my exams? Because at this point we didn't know the exams weren't going on. So it was just, my feelings of it kind of dropped down quite a lot. So
because I think, certainly me at first, I thought this isn't going to go on for a long time.
No,
I think we all thought
definitely.
it would be to try and contain the virus as much as we could, and then there would be a getting back to normal. But I suppose when you realised it was going to be a longer term, and when John Swinney stood up and said we're cancelling exams, what were you kind of thinking then?
It was like, oh no, because I felt that my work in class wouldn't quite reflect how I would do in exams, and it was such a shock. And I felt like I didn't know what to say. My mum and dad were like, "Oh, that's exams cancelled. You're not doing exams." And I'm like, "Oh, well, how am I supposed to get my results? I need these results for college and uni and things like that, for jobs that I want to do." And it's just felt like crying.
Of course.
The whole time. It was ridiculous.
And I was talking to a lot of young people who, it's never been done before.
No.
You're essentially the year where, for the first time in our history, there were no exams.
No.
And, I guess that brings with it a certain degree of pressure and worry and concern.
Yeah.
And how did you feel well supported by kind of your teachers and stuff? Because you were then thrown into this home learning environment, I guess.
Definitely. My teachers were great. We had all the Google Classroom classes set up so they could post work and ask questions about it, and you would be able to email them at any time and they'd be able to answer any of your questions. So they were really, really supportive. It just wasn't the same as being in a classroom. So
of course. And did you miss your friends and stuff like that as well?
Definitely, yeah. That was what kind of affected me the most as well, was just having to be at home, not seeing anyone. Luckily nowadays we have Snapchat and things like that, so I was able to stay in contact with them.
It's quite funny. I was reflecting the other day that, do you remember House Party was a big thing at the start of this?
I know,
and everyone was like, oh, House Party is going to be the way forward. And then suddenly people were like, what? That doesn't even work.
I think I used it once, and then it was like, oh, it's just FaceTime except with more people.
Totally, I know. And did you find you were kind of socialising a lot more online and stuff like that during lockdown?
Definitely. My screen time on my phone definitely went up quite a lot. So yeah, but it was good to be able to talk to them, because I feel like if I hadn't been able to talk to them at all, I would have gone absolutely mental.
Aye, and at least you were all in the same boat as well, so hopefully you were kind of supporting one another through that as
definitely.
well.
You know, you didn't feel alone.
Well, hello, if you're just joining us, we're on the Garden Gab. I'm being joined by Kyla Fergus. Kyla is a young pupil at school here locally, and we're just chatting about what's that been like during coronavirus, particularly given this week schools went back for the first time, and also we had the kind of debate around SQA results. So I guess thinking about the results, and they obviously came out kind of last couple of weeks ago, and at first it seemed that a lot of people were quite disappointed by what had happened. So how did you feel?
I was on holiday when I got them, and my dad woke me up. I was still asleep. I got them and I was looking at them, and last year and I got my exam results, I think it was because the first time I got exams I was like bawling my eyes out, and this time I was just sort of looking at them and I felt calmer, but then I also felt a bit of anger because some of my results definitely did not reflect what I would have got, because I was one of the people who, because of like the postcode of my school and things like that, my exams were downgraded. So 2 of my exams that I know of were downgraded, so it was really, really annoying. But I also felt better when I found out that they had been downgraded by like the government, things like that. Like that wasn't me not doing the work I could have done, you know.
Yeah, because you said earlier that you were already kind of worried because I think we kind of, the year is a long period of time, there's a lot of assessment, a lot of preparation, and then you get the final exam, but you hadn't had any of that time really to think about that, and then you got a result that didn't reflect kind of what you had been told you were predicted to get, but also kind of maybe the bits of work you'd already done. So it must have been quite, I can only imagine, and we've heard so many stories like this, people who were just genuinely gutted about what they were seeing on the paper. Definitely,
it was just, I've never experienced anything like that before, no one has, and it was just like, that is not, I knew that wasn't what I would have got if I had done the exam, I knew that. So I'm glad now that they are getting upgraded and stuff like that, so I feel a wee bit better. I definitely feel a lot of relief with that, because I can't put that on like CVs and things like that and be proud of it, you know.
Yeah, and would it have impacted your plans basically in terms of the future?
I think so, especially so I took higher music this year and I was predicted an A and I got given a C. So that was downgraded 2 grades, which is ridiculous. And what I want to do, a lot of it is with musical theatre and drama, things like that. So the colleges I want to apply for, you know, you kind of need you need higher drama and you need higher music and things like that. And a C, you know, that's just kind of average. But if, you know, I've got an A, and I would rather put that obviously on my applications and things like that, and they'll maybe look at that and go, wow, she got an A, you know, she really like knows her stuff and things like that. So,
and I guess in those subjects as well, there's a real practical element because you get practically assessed.
Exactly,
but you probably missed a bit of that as well, didn't you?
So well, luckily before lockdown, for drama and music, which were like my main focus, we had done the practical side of the exams. Good, so we had just got them done. The music one it was like a couple of weeks before we were in lockdown. So the teacher had that, so he could listen to that and be like, you know, she's done really well, so that could go towards the predicted grades and things like that. So that gave me little bit of comfort. But having doing that and then seeing the C on my certificate was like, but I thought I'd done really well in those exams, so how have I got a C here?
Of course. So even worse in a way, because actually you'd already done the real practical elements as well. Well, hello, if you're just joining us on the Garden Gab, joined by Kyla, and we're just chatting about school and about going back to school, and we're talking about SQ exams just now. So what was your reaction? So we had about a week in between the results coming out, and then the government, John Swinney, deciding this week to actually say we need to fix this. And in between that time, what I kind of noticed was just the voices of young people saying, actually, we're not going to accept this, it's not okay. You referred about postcodes, we're not going to be judged by our postcode. It was a real strength of feeling that I think really made the government sit up and take notice. And how did you feel as a young person kind of watching that and engaging with that?
It made me feel really, really good. It was quite incredible to see actually just all these young people like not being afraid to speak to the government, which is massive, you know, like some people wouldn't be able to do that, and they're telling them, you know, no, this is not what we deserve, you know, you should fix this. And it was really, really good to see, and it made me feel good to be a young person, because I feel like a lot of the time there's stigma around young people, like, oh, you know, we're lazy and we don't get anything done and everything like that. But I think this shows that we really can make a change, and we really, we go for what we want and things like that. So I think it's really, really good to see.
I mean, I just thought it was really inspiring because, as you say, young people get a bad rap sometimes, and people say, well, there's two schools of thought. There's the one about, being disengaged and lazy, but there's also a thought about, it never changes anything. Like, if you go out and you march or you write a letter, it doesn't actually make a difference.
No.
But, I mean, this week we saw such a U-turn.
Definitely.
Those grades are now going to be reversed and changed, and that was about young people speaking out. And I mean, then catching the opposition parties and helping them work together and stuff like that, but it really was down to those young people. And I think some of the letters I read were quite emotional actually, and they probably, I guess, might be quite similar to your experience, which was just that feeling of, I can't believe what I'm seeing here.
Yeah.
Do you know? I
know. Yeah, it was really, really good to see. And then all the interviews of young people who were talking about the exam results and talking about, no, this is not what I want. This is not. I'm absolutely gutted, because a lot of the time you need these certain results to get where you want to be, and being downgraded, especially because of your postcode, it's just not okay. But fair play to Nicola Sturgeon and everything like that they did listen, and they they took a step back and said, we apologise for this, we got it wrong, and we're going to fix it. So
I think people want to now see a bit of consensus around moving forward and just making sure that this doesn't happen again.
Exactly,
so great. No, so if you're joining us on the Garden Gab, we're just chatting about all things school, and I'm about to ask you just about what's it been like going back, because we talked a bit about how it felt leaving, I guess, 5 months ago. You walked back into school for the first time in 5 months in a very different set of circumstances, because obviously we've all been through lockdown.
Exactly.
The virus is still out there, so we all kind of need to be careful. What's it been like?
It was quite surreal actually, because we were all moved to certain doors that we had to go in. We've all been split up, and especially the senior school, we've been told to completely stay away from the younger school because there might be a danger to us and things like that. And you've got the one-way system, and every class you go into you have to wipe down your desk and use your hand sanitizer. So they've done really well in keeping us safe and things like that, but it's absolutely mental. And you don't really like go to certain classes, you can't wander, try and get outside as much as you can at lunch and break and things like that. Like, it's completely different.
And I guess all of our lives have been changed. Like, so if you go down to a shopping centre, you're getting told the same things. You can't kind of browse. You've got to go in and get what you need and leave. And I guess now schools we're seeing a bit of that as well. But does it feel good to be back?
It does actually. Yeah, I was surprised at how quickly I kind of got back into the getting up and getting dressed for school and then leaving and then getting the bus home and things like that. So it does feel good, not only to get myself back into a routine, but to see a different environment and get myself back out there and working and doing stuff. So it did feel good to go back, yeah, definitely.
And good to see friends, I'm guessing, as well. Because,
yeah.
Well, I guess you've been catching up with folk as the lockdown has eased, but probably nice to see folk on a regular basis in school as well.
And not outdoors, actually just sitting with them at a table and things like that. So
feeling a bit more normal. And what about your teachers? Have you missed some of them?
Actually, yeah, I have, and I was surprised, but Mrs. Gracie.
I do.
Got to see her again. That was fab.
Shout out to Amanda Gracie.
Still as fabulous and scary as ever. So
great. So for anyone who doesn't know who's tuning in, Amanda Gracie is an amazing drama teacher who taught me and teaches has taught Kyla. So she's getting a shout out, and just nice to catch up with teachers, I guess.
Yeah, hearing their experiences with it, because a lot of them have been shielded and things like that.
Sure.
So it's nice to hear their different stories and hear, oh, this happened to them, but that didn't happen to me. That's really, really strange. And hearing stories from people who have actually experienced their family members or themselves having the coronavirus. Because luckily, me and my family, we weren't affected head-on by COVID-19. We were affected the way everyone else was.
Yeah.
But by coronavirus, we weren't affected, luckily. But it's really amazing to hear some people's stories,
Absolutely. And there's been so much work ongoing in the community, and your mum and dad have been involved in that, and so many other folk that we know here in the local community, and it's just really inspiring actually, I think, to see that, isn't it?
You never think this would happen, and then to see everyone just come together, helping out the elderly with their shopping and things like that, it is really good to see.
Excellent, great. So if you're joining us on the Garden Gab, we're just chatting to Kyla about her school experience. And what's next for you, Kyla? Because you were kind of talking there when we had that wee chat about exam results about what you're hoping to do in the future, which is kind of musical theatre and stuff like that. So you're in the process of just applying and starting to look at your options?
So I think we start kind of looking at uni and Caritas and all that around October time. Obviously, you know, doing our volunteer work is going to be very, very different this year, because, you know, we won't be able to just go and help out at soup kitchens and things like that, because a lot of the people are older and are not willing to have us there, which is completely understandable, of course. So it is going to be very different and quite difficult to find things to do to get that 40 hours of volunteer work in. So that's what I'm looking at, and then uni, just, you know, getting those essays done and things like that. So yes,
absolutely. And I guess 6th year will be a different experience, because 6th year is usually the year where you get to do that volunteering you talk about. You get to take a senior role in the school, so it's maybe going to look a wee bit different, but I would think you guys will have a big role to play in terms of helping others in the school as well.
No, we've already been told, you know, you need to set an example and things like that, because the younger ones are going to look up to you. So, you know, if you follow the one-way system, they're going to follow the one-way system and things like that. So it is really, really nice to feel, you know, you feel, oh, I can show these people that this is what's right and this is what we need to do to keep each other safe, you know.
Absolutely, superb. Good. So I think what I've been asking everyone in these garden gabs is just to think a wee bit about kind of what have you seen during coronavirus that's been really positive, I guess. And we talked a wee bit there about the community coming together. But, you know, what would you like to see us change in the future or hold on to in the future? What do you not want to lose out of this experience?
Well, I've noticed that while I was on lockdown, I tried to get out a walk every day, and sometimes I go with my family, sometimes it was just me. And if you pass people in the street, you know, everyone says hi now, everyone says hello and asks how you are, while, you know, still keeping the social distance and things like that. But that was really, really nice to see, that you wouldn't always get, because everyone's just so used to seeing each other. But now it was like, oh, there's another person, let's say hi, let's, you know, make sure they're okay. So I really, really like that, and I hope we don't lose that, because it's really, really nice, you know.
Absolutely. And I guess politicians listening to young people might be another thing.
Yes, definitely.
And I would include myself in that, because I think we're all guilty sometimes of forgetting about the young voices in the room, who essentially are the future. And, you know, whether it's climate change or whether it's exam results or whatever the issues are, you know, we do need to sit up and take notice. And I'm sure you will be a leading voice in that as your future progresses and your career progresses as well. So excellent. It's been really great to talk to you today.
No, it's really
and to hear about your experiences, and I hope that school continues to go well. You know, it'll just take time to get through this, but we're going to keep working together to get through it. So thank you if you joined us here in the Garden Gab, or if you're catching up with us after the live event, chatting to Kyla Fergus just about her experience of exam results in school and all the things that go along with that. It's a lovely weekend, so I hope that you enjoy the weather. I hope that you continue to get out and about a wee bit more, but keeping to that social distancing, which is so important, and ensuring that you follow all the rules so that we can continue to move forward in this kind of journey of COVID-19. As always, if you need any support or advice from me, just get in touch. Folk tend to know where I am, so give me a shout if you need anything at all. Kyla, thank you so much for coming down and being part of the Garden Gab. And everyone take care. We'll be back with another Garden Gab next week. And if you just keep your eye on social media, you'll find out who the guest is in due course. Cheers now. Take care.